We might disagree on many opinions regarding Hunter x Hunter and Togashi's writing. There are also some indisputable facts, things not worth debating. The most important of these is that one of the reasons Hunter x Hunter's story and Togashi's pen surpass other authors is the presence of villains or antagonistic characters. Unlike the top-tier characters, where the line between good and evil is somewhat clear, with kind characters like Kurapika, his friends, some of the princes, and their guards, Togashi finds it difficult to kill these characters. In the lower tiers, most of the main characters are classified as antagonists or villains. The Mafia, the Spiders, the Zoldycks, Morena and her followers. All of these can easily be categorized as such. This gives Togashi the freedom to do whatever he wants with these characters. For me, the reason I prefer the lower tier events over the upper tier ones is the unpredictability. You can't tell who will triumph over whom. The characters are killers, gangsters, mafia, and outlaws. If Togashi kills one of them now, it would feel completely natural. But what is certain is that Togashi, chapter after chapter, confirms that most of the key characters will eventually gather in one place, in one tier, and then the curtain will fall. Welcome to the review, impressions, and analysis of chapters 405 and 406 of Hunter x Hunter. As always, I don't want likes or subscriptions. Just focus and follow Togashi's masterpiece. Unlike the previous chapters, these chapters don't require much explanation. So today, I won't start the video by discussing past events. Instead, we'll dive straight into the chapters. The chapter begins in the first tier, with the character everyone is searching for, Hisoka Moro. For the first time, perhaps, Togashi describes the depth of this character in an internal monologue. He says, "My heart didn't race when I heard about the extermination campaign against the Chimera ants, because the enemies were ants. Even the terrifying waves of aura I felt here disappointed me when I realized they came from a collaborative Nen beast ability." Let's analyze this statement. When Hisoka said the Chimera ants didn't excite him for battle, he didn't mean the ants were weak. He knows that as long as the hunters moved and the chairman sacrificed his life, the ants are truly on another level. Hisoka's issue lies in his disdainful view of the ants, not in their strength. No matter how powerful they are, he sees them as mere ants. This same sentiment was reflected during the Chimera Ant arc with Netero when he fought Meruem. Meruem began rambling about how humanity's system is unjust and how he would change it to create balance and start a world free of injustice, while accusing humans of bringing only destruction. Netero silenced him with a single racist remark. "Silence. You're just an insect. What does an insect know about humans? What does a creature born a month ago know about humanity?" The same applies here with Hisoka. He undoubtedly recognized that there was someone stronger than him among the ants, but unfortunately, it didn't motivate him. As for the second part of Hisoka's dialogue, he expressed disappointment when he discovered that this ability was a collaborative one, rather than belonging to a single individual. This, of course, refers to Prince Hulkenberg's ability. Now, the crucial question is, how did Hisoka learn this important detail? How did he figure out it was a collaborative ability? The logical answer would be through analysis. But analysis requires knowing several things, such as the fact that this is a war conducted under the rituals of a parasitic Nen beast, that the prince was not previously a Nen user, that the beasts derive their abilities from their prince's personality, and a deep understanding of Hulkenberg's character. Certainly, Hisoka could obtain this information, but his current situation does not support this likelihood. It's as if Hisoka were facing a physics exam while being prepared for a math test. If his goal for being on this journey is to eliminate the spiders, then this becomes somewhat questionable, and we'll analyze this idea further shortly, especially with Chrollo's upcoming statement. But let me propose a thought that crossed my mind. What is the likelihood that one of Hisoka's goals in boarding the ship is to fight the last remaining prince, the winner of the succession war? What are the chances that the final prince possesses the traits Hisoka desires? Togashi drew a frame that represents the combat from Hisoka's perspective, a dance with a shattered puppet, with the phrase, "I want one person to fight, someone I can face one-on-one." In chapter 351, during Hisoka's battle with Chrollo, he said something similar. Fights are like dances. We need to synchronize our heartbeats and our breaths. Will Togashi truly recreate a new battle between Hisoka and Chrollo? Or will the trajectory of these two characters change aboard the ship? Both possibilities are valid, and that's the charm of the layers and the multitude of characters. spiders. Even Hisoka's dialogue in this chapter remains largely ambiguous. We don't know his exact goals, nor do we know the past of this character. Even his final line, "I don't mind playing solo," is somewhat cryptic. Will Togashi clarify all of this in the upcoming chapters? Let's wait and see. Next, we move to someone observing Hisoka in the casino, revealed to be Morena. This was undoubtedly one of the chapter's shocks. The person we saw in chapter 392, the one who met Hinrigh in the cinema, wasn't Hisoka. It was Morena, a member of the Spiders, and he's the third best Joker actor after Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. Indeed, many people suspected Hisoka's earlier appearance. There were various theories suggesting that this wasn't Hisoka, but rather Illumi. However, no one anticipated this scenario. One reason was Lynch's assertion that this was Hisoka, but who could have guessed that everything was orchestrated by the mummy with Chrollo's assistance and that Lynch had been killed? Chrollo's plan here was for the mummy to disguise itself as Hisoka and wander around their territories until they found him and invited him to a luxurious suite. The reason for this was that if the Mafia allowed the Spiders free rein in their territories, it would make them appear weak within their own zones of influence. It's as if someone entered your house, ate your food, and wrecked your furniture, and you couldn't touch them. Thus, this plan was a way to save face for the Mafia. The Mafia could have chosen another solution, to ally with one of the two parties, either Hisoka or the Spiders, and avoid all of this entirely. But if they had done so, and a conflict erupted between the two sides, this might have disrupted the balance upon which the Mafia families operate. In chapter 378, Anyor and Broccoli discussed this concept of balance. Their first orders to Henry and Okini were to find Hisoka. The chapter's title was Even Balance. Here, Chrollo had already anticipated the Mafia's plan and completely turned the tables. In the latest chapters, I started to view the Spiders as tigers. No one dares approach them as they roam the floors. The Mafia's entire effort is focused on keeping these tigers away from their territories by lying and placing pieces of meat where they want them to go. But Chrollo, from the very beginning, understood all of this and twisted the Mafia's arm. The Spiders have had the upper hand since the start. When I first read Chrollo's words, I became curious about how he knew all this crucial information about the Mafia and the traditions of Kakin. But the chapter that followed answered all my questions, so there's no need to delve into that here. What's important to understand is that the mummy orchestrated all the previous events, killed Lynch, and manipulated the Mafia into ascending to the upper floors to search for Hisoka there. This raises the question, why the first floor? The answer came from Chrollo himself when he said, "It's possible that Hisoka had prior contact with one of the princes and boarded the ship from the first floor as an important individual." Earlier, I mentioned how Hisoka knew that Hulkenberg's ability was collaborative. Chrollo's deduction here might be the answer to that question. We still don't know for sure if Chrollo's statement is correct or just speculation. We also don't know whether Hisoka boarded through the same application process as Kurapika and his friends, given that he too is a hunter, or if he entered as an important figure. Chrollo's deduction might indeed be accurate, and this could explain how Hisoka knows about Prince Hulkenberg's ability. In chapter 359, when Kurapika first boarded the ship and saw Bill and the others, he was shocked to learn they were unaware of the succession war. He realized they were followers of Pariston. At that time, one of the guards mentioned something important. Unlike Kurapika, who applied through the government website and interviewed with the Queen, they had an agreement with Kakin since the announcement of the voyage to the Dark Continent. They didn't undergo any interview with the Queen. Even the applications the princes posted on the government website were submitted by them only out of respect for protocol. Their acceptance had been confirmed from the moment the journey was announced. Could this mean that Hisoka boarded the ship in a somewhat similar manner? If we say yes, it implies that Hisoka planned to board the ship before his fight with Chrollo. Could he have been searching for Ging? Could he have entered through Pariston or beyond? Is it even possible that the person beyond wanted to meet is Hisoka? These remain weak possibilities, but I can't shake the feeling that Hisoka has another important purpose on the ship beyond the Spiders. The previous chapters showed us the Spiders' past. Logic suggests that Togashi might do the same for Hisoka. In any case, let's hope Togashi answers these questions in the upcoming chapters. Let's return to the events. We see that the mummy has transformed into an owl, a member of the Enjo gang, and has started tracking Hisoka's movements. The plan was for the mummy to locate Hisoka and then inform Chrollo. However, the mummy chose instead to inform Nobunaga's group. The mummy then revealed key factors that made him reconsider Chrollo's plan. First was how deeply affected he was by the deaths of Shalnak and Kortopi. We had seen this mixture of anger and sorrow before in the scene where Chrollo said, "Bonds aren't forgotten, they're severed." The loss of Shalnar Shalnark and Kortopi hit Chrollo the hardest because he felt directly responsible for it. Chrollo might hold the record in the story for losing the most close companions: Sarasa, Uvogin, Pakunoda, Shalnark, and Kortopi. The second factor is that Chrollo is searching for an ability that can guarantee Hisoka's death, something related to the prize he mentioned to Shalnark after his duel with Hisoka. We'll discuss this in more detail in the next chapter analysis. What caught my attention was the mummy's statement: "The spiders know why Chrollo left Pakunoda's spot vacant. Let Hisoka be the finale of this play." Does this mean the obvious interpretation that Chrollo cared deeply for Pakunoda, leaving her position empty out of respect, and that Hisoka's death would signify that no more members of the spiders would die? That defeating Hisoka marks the end of this theatrical performance? Or does it carry another meaning? Don't forget the chapter title, Theatrical Play. In these latest chapters, the element of mystery has reached another level entirely. I'll say it again, and I may annoy you with it, but the level of mystery in these last 10 chapters is on another plane. What I admire most, and respect Togashi for, is how he doesn't delay too long in answering some of the mysteries he presents. Returning to the events, in the next scene, we see Chrollo walking somewhere on the ship. On a screen above, a broadcast talks about a man killed 10 years ago, named Listenort, the director of an organization called Mama Help, who dedicated his life to helping and rescuing underprivileged children. He was also responsible for the kidnapping and murder of Sarasa, and yes, it's highly likely that the spiders were the ones who killed him. This means Sarasa's revenge occurred 10 years ago. Finding her killer was likely due to Pakunoda's ability, as she could read memories. When Kurapika captured Chrollo in the hotel and sent a message, Pakunoda was able to read the message's memories. This implies her ability extended to inanimate objects as well, and she likely did the same with the note left by the criminals with Sarasa's body. This confirms that the fourth prince is not connected to Sarasa's murder. Some might argue that the prince could have ordered this person to kidnap the Meteor City children. To that I'd respond, if that were true, Pakunoda would have uncovered it when she read his memories. Of course, much of the spider's past remains unexplored, but Togashi, chapter by chapter, is revealing more and more.
大切な暦が一部欠けて残された月たちは盛大に弔うだろう。
The events shift to the Shah family's headquarters, where the spiders went to investigate Nobunaga's idea. This idea is as follows. Are the people they're currently fighting truly the real members of the A2 family? Before diving into Nobunaga's theory, let's revisit chapter 378, titled Balance. In that chapter, there was a conversation between Broccoli and Anior about the problem of the spiders and Hisoka. At the time, Anior said something significant. He mentioned that the spiders greatly resemble Morena, who became a leader by breaking all the rules. He added that even if no one moves to stop the spiders, the day will come when they'll clash with Morena, because those who resemble each other are destined to meet. Nobunaga's suspicions stemmed from this point, as Lini, the user of the teleportation ability, attacked them without any real plan. In contrast, the members Nobunaga found in the room were much more organized. From this, Nobunaga concluded that the structure of the A2 family is different from traditional Mafia families and resembles the spider's system more closely. Under normal circumstances, the Mafia does not harm the Kakin people. A Shah family advisor explained that the people are like customers, not targets or enemies. Despite their dark history, they take pride in supporting the country from behind the scenes. In other words, AI is now Mafia, in name only. Their goal isn't something simple, like eliminating other Mafia families or taking over power. No, their goal seems to be the destruction of everything, and perhaps they have other objectives as well. One of the reasons Nobunaga discovered this is A2's killing of civilians. He deduced that by committing these murders, they gain nen. Interestingly, this was also discovered by the Zo-Wu family, led by Hinrigh, back in chapter 390 through Lynch. When Lynch used her ability on one of the members, he revealed that they grow stronger and gain nen by killing. However, it's unclear why Hinrigh didn't share this crucial information with the others. I might need to reread the last 10 chapters and organize my thoughts, but for now, it's enough to understand that AI's goal is to destroy everything. They also seem to have another hidden objective, which remains unknown. Nobunaga, Finks, and Phaeton hinted that the situation is tied to vows and conditions, and that the deaths of civilians strengthen this bond. It's akin to a bomb, growing more powerful with each kill. We know that Morena's ability is bacterial contagion, which grants Nen to her members once they surpass level 20. This level is determined by the number of murders committed. Now, is Morena's ability directly tied to a vow and condition, as the spiders suspect? It's unclear, but let's keep this possibility in mind for the coming chapters. The real shock that made things even more intense was the revelation that Okini, the young leader of the Shah family, is a traitor working with Morena. In chapter 393, when Okini told the sergeant that no one would survive, he literally meant that no one on the ship would make it out alive. Okini being on AI's side is a disaster, as he knows the movements and locations of most of the spiders. What adds even more mystery is his statement. Perhaps there's a need to use the Joker card before the scheduled time. What is this Joker card? We don't know. Some might assume it refers to Hisoka, but based on the translator's notes, the meaning here is something that would overturn the situation or a secret weapon. The likelihood that Okini meant Hisoka is small, but not impossible. Therefore, it's worth considering the possibility that the person who brought Hisoka to the first-class area was Morena herself. While this remains a weak theory, it's still on the table. The events shift to Morena's hideout. We see that Morena plans to exploit the 9th Prince's funeral, a gathering that will attract many individuals, to find someone among them with an exceptional ability. This individual should either be someone who can learn Nen quickly or someone comparable to Gon, Killua, or Siriadnich. This mission will be handled by Dogman and Sodom. According to Morena, if Dogman manages to identify such a person, it will signal the beginning of her true and complete plan. From the conversations between Morena's members, it's clear that this person is currently unable to use Nen. However, they must possess the potential to learn it quickly. Dogman has the ability to sense whether someone is naturally inclined toward Nen from a distance of 5 meters. He can determine if they can use Nen from a 2-meter distance, and if he sniffs their head, he can identify them with 100% accuracy. Meanwhile, Sodom can easily abduct this person because his ability requires the target to be a non-Nen user. What exactly does Morena want from this individual? Could they be a key element in the vows and conditions tied to Morena's ability? We will uncover all this in upcoming chapters as we delve deeper into the dynamics between Proxin, Morena, and the art of negotiation. This chapter concludes with 2 significant developments. The members defeated by Hinrigh in chapter 391 have now reached level 51, ready to exact their revenge. Nobunaga, Finks, Phaeton, and the advisor of the 7th Prince arrive at a location, continuing their path toward Morena's hideout. A very strong chapter overall. The pace is quick, the mystery deepens, and Togashi's creativity shines through. Now we move to chapter 406, titled Sacred Treasure. This chapter is perhaps the easiest to understand and the shortest in terms of events within this batch. It is divided into 3 parts: the spiders and the 7th Prince's advisor, Hinrigh and Zakuro analyzing Lynch's death, the main course, Chrollo, and the 3 treasures. Let's start with the first part. We discover that the corridor, which surprised the spiders in the previous chapter, is actually a location on the edge of the Black Whale. It is not an official passage and does not appear on the ship's blueprint. Instead, it was the Shah family who constructed a staircase there that leads to the 2nd and 1st layers. In this area, we notice large sewage pipes used for waste disposal. These pipes transport the waste to a recycling station located between the 4th and 5th layers, which is managed by the Shah and Shu families. When Nobunaga learns this, he raises an important question. Since you're a Mafia group with no expertise in this field, you must have contracted specialized companies to handle waste processing, leaving the cleaning to them while your lower-ranked subordinates oversee operations. But what if this company replaced its workers? Would your subordinates report such a minor change? This realization shocks the advisor because Nobunaga's point strongly implies that Morena's members might have infiltrated the station. They could be using the location to bring in victims for killings, set up hideouts, and exploit the area for teleportation-based abilities. Nobunaga's suspicion could very well be accurate, as one of Morena's members previously worked in waste management. Thus, Nobunaga decides to return to investigate this station, leaving the attack on Morena's hideout to Finks and Phaeton, warning them about the lawyer's counter-type ability. The split between Nobunaga and the others might foreshadow significant danger for the latter. There's even a strong possibility that Nobunaga might lose his life soon in this arc. I say this for 2 reasons. Nobunaga is the only member whose ability hasn't been revealed yet. So far, we've only seen his use of enhancement, N, and sword combat. In the spider's past flashbacks, Nobunaga had the least screen time. Togashi did not focus on him much, and he only appeared at the end of the flashback. What comes to mind now is that Nobunaga might soon face a serious battle where Togashi reveals his ability, dedicating a part of the story to him through a flashback. This would explain why his ability hasn't been shown, and why he was sidelined in the flashback. Moving on. After Nobunaga separates from the others, Togashi takes us to the location where Hinrigh placed the clam. We see that the clam has returned to its original form. Hinrigh had previously stated that the clam would remain in its transformed state for 2 hours before the nen runs out and it reverts to normal. The likely scenario is that Morena's members will find the clam, realize that the spiders are coming, and prepare for the situation. It's been quite a while since we last saw a fight in this arc, so Togashi might deliver on that front soon. The story shifts to Hinrigh and Zakuro after they discover Lynch's corpse, killed by the mummy. Allow me to summarize the lengthy discussion into its key takeaway, since this part is less significant, and to keep the video concise. In summary, Hinrigh deduces that Lynch's killer is one of the spiders and vows to seek revenge with Zakuro. However, the issue lies in the fact that their conclusion is merely a hypothesis, albeit a logical one, as they lack solid evidence. Given that they are currently at war, they realize they must delay their revenge. Openly clashing with the spiders now would mean making enemies of both Okeni and the Shah family, something they cannot afford at this moment. Nevertheless, they are determined to avenge Lynch, or at least make an attempt. Initially, I had thought Hinrigh could eventually become a spider himself. After all, he possesses the genetic Ryodan DNA, but now it seems my prediction might have been wrong. Let's move on to the most important part of the chapter. Chrollo Lucifer, the development of his ability and the 3 treasures. Chrollo opens his book and reveals a new ability called the Ominous Call. This ability allows its user to search for their ideal life partner. All you need to do is input specific criteria, ranging from 6 to 20 attributes, make a call, and follow the instructions. Pay attention to the phrase, "follow the instructions." It's a crucial detail we'll revisit. This ability is incredibly versatile, as it enables you to find the exact person you are looking for just by entering detailed traits and attributes. It seems that the original owner of this ability used it for romantic purposes, but Chrollo, being who he is, finds a much broader application, especially on the black whale. He simply needs precise information. The issue lies in how the ability works. For example, if Chrollo wanted to locate the treasures at this moment, he might input the following criteria: someone close to the king, over 40 years old, someone with vital knowledge about the royal family, a person involved in initiating the succession war ceremonies. These traits might point to the king's aide who conducted the jar ritual for the princes. Now, when Chrollo inputs these details and makes the call, the question arises, will the phone ring on the aide's device directly? Or will an automated response from the ability provide Chrollo with all the relevant details about the person, including their exact location? Most likely the second scenario is true. Chrollo activates the ability and makes a call. He receives an automated response. The number is not available. Please try again later or change your location. It also informs him of the remaining number of attempts, a mysterious limit Togashi has not yet revealed. From this we can deduce that the ability is limited by location, the number of inputs, and the total number of uses. Now let's analyze a key point. Chrollo plans to use this ability for 2 purposes: to find a powerful ability that can decisively kill Hisoka, to steal one of the 3 treasures of Kakin. These 2 objectives are interconnected. To acquire the ability capable of killing Hisoka, Chrollo needs to evolve his book by fulfilling a condition: stealing a national treasure. Chrollo previously attempted something similar in Heaven's Arena by exploiting the large audience, but failed to find what he was looking for. Even though Chrollo was confident in his victory against Hisoka during their battle in the arena, he was simultaneously searching for a secondary ability to eliminate Hisoka completely. This was to ensure no surprises and cover all possible loopholes. Despite these precautions, he lost Shalnark and Kortapi, leaving him ridden with guilt. Chrollo currently has 3 primary goals: stealing the national treasure, acquiring an ability that can ensure Hisoka's death, protecting the Phantom Troop, and ensuring its continuity. Chrollo made a critical statement here. Even if he dies, he has done something that guarantees the spider's survival. This is likely related to a restriction or vow that activates upon Chrollo's death, though the specifics remain unclear. If you recall, the mummy-like figure stated, "Let's make Hisoka's death the grand finale of the play." Chrollo also mentioned the possibility of his own demise during this mission. It seems Togashi is foreshadowing the conclusion of a significant part of Chrollo's story arc in this succession war. Many of you might wonder, what kind of ability could decisively kill Hisoka? Could it be Camilla's, perhaps Beyond's, or the King's? I have a feeling this ability hasn't been revealed yet. My instincts suggest that its owner might be Broxen. This is just a theory and not confirmed. But let's address one critical point. The conditions for Chrollo's book are stringent. He must first see the ability in action, ask the user a specific question about it, receive an answer, and have the user place their hand on the book. All of this must be completed within 1 hour. These conditions are incredibly challenging to fulfill for characters like Camilla or the King, which leads me to believe that this ability is a specialist's skill, and its owner might indeed be Broxen. Whether this theory holds or not, we'll have to wait and see. Finally, let's analyze the 3 treasures. Chrollo revealed that the succession war involves 3 sacred treasures. The first is the urn, which we've seen before. It grants Nen beasts to the princes. The second is the meditative Buddha statue, which appears to guard the war and may have been responsible for Kacho's death. The third is the fortunate blade, Kichomaru, a sword passed down to the next king. Currently, it is likely with King Nasubi Hoiguo-Rao or near him. This information might guide Chrollo's next move. Togashi seems to have drawn inspiration for these treasures from Japan's sacred regalia, which consist of a sword, a mirror, and a jewel. What's significant here is that Togashi has opened a new dimension for Nen abilities. Now we're dealing with weapons imbued with Nen. This development mirrors the concept of cursed tools in Jujutsu Kaisen. Earlier, I suggested that it might be possible to stop the succession war by halting one of its conditions. This theory likely aligns with Kurapika's plan to disrupt the ceremonies. Previously, I proposed an example of destroying the jar, but many disagreed with me. However, in this chapter, Chrollo indirectly validated my point by stating that the 3 treasures are the source of the Nen that powers the succession war's abilities. Another mystery clarified in this chapter was why the Phantom Troop boarded the ship from the 5th tier. A figure like Chrollo, who possesses stealth capabilities like convert hands and countless infiltration skills, could have easily smuggled the troop directly onto the 1st tier. The answer came from Chrollo himself. His plan was to search for the treasures by moving from the 5th tier to the 1st. Since neither the army nor the Mafia directly opposed the troop, Chrollo deduced that the treasures were not located in areas under Mafia control. Moreover, Chrollo somehow learned that the succession war incorporates Nen abilities due to the sacred treasures, leading him to conclude that these treasures are likely on the 1st tier. This tier is now Chrollo's next target. In truth, there's so much more I want to say about these 2 chapters. However, I'll leave that for dedicated videos on each idea swirling in my head right now, as these chapters truly deserve it.